Hi everyone, welcome to Meditation with Annemarie. This is part 17 of my 21-part series on coping with change using your inner power. So today I'm going to be drawing our 17th power for us to practice to help us cope better with change and to just help us cope with life in general. So all the powers that I'm sharing with you are based on my book Will to Wonder, Principles on the Loss and Recovery of Power, and the book is based on our teachings as Brahma Kumaris. So remember to subscribe down below if you haven't done so already, and let's draw a power for us to practice this month, or this fortnight. Let's see, not many powers left now. Okay, our 17th power. 4 more after this. Perfect. Our power of compassion. So our power of compassion is the ability to help another without judgment or fear of getting my hands dirty. To walk in the shoes of another, to understand what needs to be done and to be able to offer that assistance without taking away their right nor compromising my own right, my own health and well-being, not even the slightest. So I am the caregiver. I am strong yet gentle. I am able to care for others because I constantly take care of myself. And the supporting virtues to help us strengthen our power of compassion is love, so unconditional love, of course, not love with strings attached, and detachment, which works perfectly in with that unconditional love. Discernment, accommodation, to be able to accommodate the needs of others without compromising my own value in the process. So it doesn't mean to become a doormat, but instead to learn to adjust to life and to be able to accommodate yourself and the needs of others without compromising. So beautiful virtues. A virtue to remain practical, the virtue of remaining centered, and of course using our courage, because it does take courage to be truly compassionate. So let's start with a meditation. So taking a couple of gentle, even breaths deep down into your belly. Allow yourself to unplug from the external world. And I want you to start turning inward into your mind and see yourself in the middle of the forehead as a sparkling diamond, a star. And I want you to connect that light with your heart space to ensure that you are sending love to yourself first and foremost, by reminding yourself first and foremost that you are a bright, beautiful star, that you are a being of energy within the body, that you are not this body, but you are the driver of this body. Without this understanding, without this acceptance, compassion becomes sympathy, not empathy. and I will be serving no one. So understanding compassion needs a lot of self-love, a lot of self-respect. And that starts by practicing turning inward into your own mind, into your own heart space, to help you recognize and let go of where you start rescuing or saving others, where you start feeling sorry for others instead of having that true empathy. When we start feeling sorry for others, we start compromising our own value, our own rights to be safe, to be loved. So turning inward and checking yourself is the start of compassion. To be able to know when you are able to say yes with a loving heart, and to be okay with when you need to say no with a loving heart. And that is the essence of compassion. Compassion means to be able to check in on myself again and again to ensure the highest benefit for all concerned. And it will stop me from jumping into that quicksand of emotion where empathy becomes sympathy. So let me start by really turning inward and nourishing and nurturing myself. Telling myself, reminding myself that I am worthy of love, my own love, God's love. That I am living in that self-respect as a means to be able to be compassionate, firstly to myself, as a means to be compassionate to others. Compassion doesn't mean that I become a doormat for others. So I need to turn inward on a daily basis to check where I am compromising my own power, to let go of any self-deception where I may be believing that I'm being compassionate to others but not recognizing where I'm compromising my own value in the process. If I'm not taking care of my own well-being and looking after others at the detriment of my own health and well-being, that is not compassion. So in order for me to truly understand and practice compassion, I must first hold an enormous amount of self-love and self-respect for me, for I, the soul, within this body. Only then can I respect other souls playing their roles. And I will know what to do at any given moment where everyone will benefit. Not just others, me included. So remind yourself to turn inward again and again to strengthen your own sparkle, your own shine. For when our light becomes dull, we start compromising our own value, and we go back to rescuing or saving others. Compassion means to turn inwards again and again and keep working on myself so that I can transform all my weaknesses and not contribute to all the angst, to all the fear and anger in the world. And that is compassion. So taking a breath, reminding yourself before you come back that you are a worthy soul. That you have the power within you. And that by only standing and walking in your own power, only then will you be able to show true compassion for others. So taking a breath and coming back to the here and now. Om Shanti. Well, for me, the power of compassion is the synergy of all my other powers, because true compassion is being generous of heart, not of pocket, but of heart. And that means my heart needs to be full. I need to be content so I can cooperate with others, cooperate with my own strengths and weaknesses, cooperate with other people's strengths and weaknesses, and that takes self-respect and humility. So it means that I need to remain on solid ground, and that means I need to keep learning from my own experiences in life, which is wisdom, which is humility, which is self-respect. Because otherwise what happens is we confuse sympathy with empathy. So empathy is a very large part of compassion. And it's one of those words that has a big load on it, just like compassion does. Because often people mistake empathy for sympathy. And even if you look in the dictionaries, even today, many dictionaries will say that compassion, they still use the words sympathy and pity for others. That is so far from the truth. When I'm feeling sorry for someone, I'm going to compromise myself on many different levels. And that's not helping, that's not serving anyone. When I'm compromising myself on many levels, I will jump into the quicksand to save others. Compassion means to stay on solid ground and throw the person who is drowning, throw them a rope. And having enough respect for myself and for this other soul to not rescue and to give them permission to grab onto the rope or not. That's their choice. Not everyone wants to be saved, and that's a harsh call in life, which often looks like non-caring, but it actually means to be practicing loving detachment, to truly understand on a spiritual level that we all have our roles to play, and it is not my role to rescue anyone else from their story. Remembering that we all create our own story with the way we think, with the way we behave. And if someone is sinking in the quicksand, and who knows, they may have done that several times, I don't have a right to jump in and drown in the process of trying to save them. That's not serving anyone. It's the same as if you look at the first rule of first aid. It's about self-preservation, making sure that I am safe in order to help someone else. Because, and the same with if you're looking on aeroplanes, the first thing you get told or taught is to make sure that you apply your own oxygen mask, your own life jacket, before you help anyone else. Because we cannot truly help another soul if we take off our oxygen mask to save them. We cannot truly help another soul when we're treading water and drowning. That's not compassion. And that often gets missed because of our conditioning of believing that compassion means to jump into the quicksand no matter what. And that is not compassion at all. We need to remain practical. And that means I need to know myself on that spiritual level. So I know when I start to compromise myself. So I know when I'm stepping across that line between empathy and sympathy. Empathy is used a lot these days, and I hear this constantly where people will tell me I can't come into one of your classes because I am an empathic person and I'm picking up on too many negative energies. That is so far from being an empath, because an empath means to be able to walk in someone else's shoes without being affected, instead being able to remain practical and support them from that platform, not jumping in and now I am part of that problem. That is not practical, that is not self-respect, that is not empathy, that is certainly not compassion. But that is what we have been conditioned to believe. So if we step back and practice loving detachment, we almost feel like we're being cruel because we're used to jumping in to save others. So it takes humility to be able to recognize the difference. And humility comes after experiencing life lessons and learning from those lessons and growing and moving forward, recognizing my own weaknesses and working with my own strengths as a means to keep moving forward, take myself out of that situation and keep moving forward. Because if I'm showing sympathy for others and I'm compromising my own value in the process, one, I'm doing a disservice to everyone, and two, I may be unconsciously or consciously enabling the behavior of someone else. As I said earlier, not everyone wants to be rescued. Some choose to remain the victim of their own story. And if I'm I used to be a chronic rescuer. I would jump in again and again and again, and then feeling resentful or frustrated because I'm left drowning while they sort of climb out on top of you and get out. And I'm the one that hasn't learned the lesson because I keep doing that same thing. So, and I'm not helping those, especially those who want to remain that victim, because I'm really then becoming their enabler. Can you see how that doesn't serve anyone? So in order to truly understand compassion, I need to constantly turn inward and I need to constantly shine my inner diamond, because I need to remove the darkness that surrounds this compassion. And the only way, darkness is not a form, it just means it's absence of light. And where this absence of light, I'm disrespecting myself. And where I'm disrespecting myself, I'm going to disrespect others. And then I become part of the problem. Can you see the problem? So we need to remain part of the solution, and compassion enables us to do that. So it does take practice, especially if you are the rescuing type. It does take practice to step back and to learn to observe and feel the energy. As soon as I become emotionally involved, I'm going to risk crossing that fine line between empathy and sympathy. And if I'm the rescuing type, I will often miss the red flags. There's always red flags letting us know when we're stepping off our own path. Often we choose to ignore those red flags because it is easier to go back into an old pattern and then justify it. But again, that doesn't serve anyone, and that's really not compassion. So compassion is such a beautiful power because I really have to get real with myself. And that means I do not compromise my own value at any level. That's the only way I can truly remain compassionate, because it teaches me to remain on solid ground. And it teaches me respect by throwing a rope and then leaving the choice up to that soul. I hope that makes sense for you, because again, our conditioning has taught us something so different. If you've been going through my other videos and listening to the other powers that I've been sharing, you will start recognizing and understanding how easily and how often how we have been conditioned to think the negative of certain powers, of certain virtues. And we've been sucked into that vacuous way of thinking that we believe it to be right. And yet deep down we know, because we know it doesn't feel right in our heart. At the time of rescuing, we may feel good about ourselves because it feeds our own need to be needed. But after a while, when that resentment kicks in because I feel that I'm not being respected, or others I feel I may be taken advantage of, others are using me for my kindness, I can't blame them, because I'm not turning inward enough and strengthening me and understanding the truth between compassion, between sympathy and empathy, between power and disempowerment, between loving detachment and between becoming that rescuer, saving others. Okay, we first need to respect ourselves enough, and that takes practice in itself. We need to show our compassion for ourselves. A good example is, I used to believe that I was very compassionate because working in aged care and disability services for over 11 years, and even now, all the jobs that I've done, I spend a lot of time caring for others, and I love doing that. What I didn't recognize was I was constantly compromising my own value in the process of looking after everyone else. So a good example would be, I would often forego my own tea breaks and lunch breaks in order to look after residents of other nurses who were having their break. And so I would see it as, well, you can't leave this person in a soiled pad. So I would take on that role and do it for them. So they would come back and half of their job would be done. And I would do that again and again and again, thinking that was compassion, but I was actually showing disrespect to myself, and I was actually enabling someone else's behavior, because they got used to little Annemarie who will do it. And you know what? They were right. I kept doing it. I kept complaining about it, but I kept doing it. And I had to really understand, to the point where I got burnt out again and again and again. Which is why today I live with chronic pain. So I had to learn the hard lessons to really understand what compassion really is. So in essence, all these other nurses and support workers were actually helping me recognize, even though it took me a long, long time to recognize, that I wasn't being compassionate to me. So as soon as I'm not being compassionate to me and making sure that I'm having my break, making sure that I'm fueled up, that I'm stopping to drink water, because I wasn't even drinking water. I was so busy running around and then complaining afterwards, not understanding what compassion really meant. So it taught me a lot. And unfortunately, like I said, I had to crash and now live with that chronic pain as a means for me to really understand what it meant, what compassion really meant. So I had to make lots and lots of little shifts so that I would stop rescuing others at the detriment of my own health. So I would learn to really understand what compassion meant, and compassion started with making sure that I was okay. Then from that solid ground, I can then truly serve others. So I'm slowly getting that right these days, and I'm loving this power because it's really reminding me and teaching me where I'm crossing that boundary. So it's keeping me firm in that self-respect because I understand the power in that today. So I hope that helped you a little bit, and let's finish off with a meditation. So once again, taking a couple of breaths. Allow yourself to just slow down in your thoughts, in your breathing, letting go of everything that I've just said right now, and just allowing yourself to turn inward and to check in on yourself and see how you're going. So firstly, ask yourself, am I being calm today? If not, why not? Am I being kind to myself today? Not at the detriment of others, not to, never about hurting anyone else, but am I being kind to myself? Am I strengthening myself before I jump in and help others? In fact, do I stay on solid ground as a means to serve others? Where am I jumping into the quicksand? Where do I need to learn that humility and self-respect? Reminding yourself this isn't about beating yourself up or judging yourself or getting annoyed with yourself. This is about recognizing gently where you might need to make some changes within yourself as a means to truly practice compassion. Compassion is treating everyone as equals, and that starts within yourself. When you truly show compassion to you, you will know how to show that compassion to others, and it will not compromise you or anyone else in any way whatsoever. It will feel gentle, it will feel positive, it will feel life-affirming, it will feel like a true solution, not just filling a need, a temporary need, the need to be needed, not to fill a temporary need to be the rescuer or to be rescued, but for everyone to understand the lessons and learn and grow and move forward with that. So let me give myself that compassion, and let me turn inward again and again. Let me be gentle yet just firm enough to accept what I need to change. Use my courage to change what I need to change. Use my love and detachment to let go and accept what I cannot change. Accept what I cannot control, and that is anyone else's thoughts, words, or actions. I cannot control how anyone else behaves. But with practice, I can control how I respond to life at any given moment. And I will not compromise my own value, nor will I disrespect others in the process. So give yourself permission to turn inward again and again, and to shine and polish that inner diamond that you are, that beautiful, bright, shining star in the middle of your forehead, the one who is the master, creator of your story, the one who plays the roles through this body, the pure, powerful, compassionate, energetic being of love and of light. So remind yourself again and again by gently just turning inward, just like we are doing right now. And little bit by little bit, take back your power as a means to give others permission to take back theirs. Om Shanti.